Well, to hear some of the Southern Democrats and conservative Republicans who voted against the auto bailout, it really came down to those union concessions. They just hadn't conceded enough. Brad Woodhouse strongly disagrees. Brad is the president of Americans United for Change, and he joins me now. Brad, good to have you.
Hey, thank you, Neil. Appreciate you having me.
Was this an indictment on unions' intransigence? What do you think?
No, I don't think so at all. And look, no one should be shocked that Republicans are blaming unions. I mean, this is a typical Republican tactic. I mean, let's put the facts on the table.
Well, some of the moderate, but I should just caution here, some of the moderate Democrats and some of the Southern Democrats, who, but you're quite right to say, have their own interest in their own states, we're kind of saying the same thing, but continue.
Well, I mean, you know, the UAW made wage concessions in 2007, and they were ready to make wage concessions as part of this package. They were going to let it go forward like it was for the other stakeholders, let the car czar have a role in this, and the Republicans asked for more. And look, this is pretty typical.
No, because
for
I think, Brad, they asked for more than just wage concessions. You're quite right. Unions have given back a great deal on wages, and the last two contracts in particular, their wages now are very competitive with their foreign counterparts. But on these so-called legacy issues that address the health and pension benefits for workers long retired, now there's nothing wrong with the time those contracts were signed and those benefits were given, when there were a lot more workers paying into a system that could afford it, in an environment that could afford it. But times have changed. It isn't fair. It ain't right, I guess, but it is what it is. And that's where the union wouldn't budge. What do you make of that?
Well, that's not what I understand. I mean, this really was. I mean, if you read, most of the commentary on this today, this came down. If you believe Bob Corker, it came down to a difference of when they would accept additional wage concessions, whether it was in 2009 or in 2011. There's no doubt there needs to be a restructuring of the legacy cost, and the UAW agrees with that. Whether
they might agree with it, Brad. No, you're right. They might agree with it. But they don't do anything about it. And I've had union representatives on where they say, well, that is a long-term issue down the road. Well, that road's here. It's now. And they're not doing it. And I would think in their own selfish interest, they would just say, boy, oh, boy, you'd wake up like Custer around the Indians saying, there are a lot of arrows here. This doesn't look good.
Well, look, like I said, I do believe that they want to address, and from everything we've had conversations with them, they do want to address the legacy costs. I think it's probably more complicated than something that could be done with this package of the bridge loans. I mean, right now, this is just about breathing some life into the auto industry long enough to survive. And look, the contract.
But you said something interesting there, Brad. Long enough to survive. In other words, is this just money to stave off the inevitable?
Well, I don't believe it's money to stave off the inevitable. I mean, there are a lot of people who enjoy American cars. It does appear the auto manufacturers are ready to make changes to respond to consumers. And so, no, I don't think it's a dying industry. Certainly don't hope so. I mean, look, there are a lot of jobs at stake if it is, and there's a lot of ancillary benefits that the auto industry provides to the economy that will be at stake if it is a dying industry. So certainly we shouldn't let it die without giving a shot to make it survive.
Brad Woodhouse, thank you very much. Have a great weekend. All right?
Hey, thank you, Neil. Happy holidays.
To you as well. All right.